So we're seeing a fresh diplomatic confrontation between India and Canada after Canada's Foreign Interference Commission has released its final report. This is a commission that was set up a couple of years ago to look into the question of whether foreign powers and how foreign powers were interfering in Canada's domestic politics. That report has now been released just today, and in it, certain allegations are made about India's role in interfering in Canadian politics. We'll get into the specifics of that report, but just to give you the top line, India has absolutely rejected these allegations that have been made in the Canadian Commission of Inquiry's report. It's in fact said, and I'm reading from what they're saying, we have seen a report about alleged activities on purported interference. It is in fact Canada which has been consistently interfering in India's internal affairs. This has also been creating an environment for illegal migration and organized criminal activities. We reject the report's insinuations on India and expect that the support system enabling illegal migration will not be further countenanced. That's India pushing back against this Canadian foreign interference report, saying that in fact the allegations of Indian interference in Canadian domestic politics are incorrect. In fact, it's Canada that has been interfering in India's domestic politics. So let's get into what specifically is being talked about in this report. And really, the top line items that I have to tell you are, number one, this Canadian Foreign Interference Commission says that after China, India is the second most active country in engaging in election interference in Canada. The idea, of course, is that India has several different, India's main strategy, of course, is to focus on the Indian community in Canada as well as the Sikh community in Canada, specifically those who support the Khalistan movement, which some of you will recall is the movement seeking an independent homeland for the Sikhs, which claims also parts of Indian territory. Now, that is the allegation that India focuses a lot of its efforts and diplomatic activities on these different groups and uses financial resources and so on and so forth to influence the political processes in Canada as well as these different diaspora groups to get what it wants and push a pro-India narrative and of course, to push back against the influence of those that support Khalistani activities. So there are a couple of related allegations that are being made by the Foreign Interference Report, which I've got open in front of me, and I'll walk you through each of them. Basically, what has been saying, and I'm going to quote here, and then I'll get into explaining what exactly it's saying, is the report says that India focuses its foreign interference activities on the Indo-Canadian community and on prominent non-Indo-Canadians to achieve its objectives. Now, the idea is that India uses, number one, financial resources and distributes them. It has made the allegation, for example, that there may have been an Indian role in the Conservative Party leadership election, which took place just a couple of years ago. The Conservative Party of Canada is the party that is most likely to win the upcoming elections in Canada. Basically, the allegation being made in this report is that India may have provided financial support to some of the candidates running in this Conservative Party election race. So that's one allegation that has been made. It is also saying that India, to push a pro-India narrative, uses disinformation in Canadian politics. For example, especially after 2023, when Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau accused India of involvement in the death of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, who was a prominent figure involved in the Khalistani movement, someone who India has designated as a terrorist. After his death and Justin Trudeau coming out and making a particular statement about India's alleged involvement in his death, India, according to this report, embarked on a disinformation campaign as a form of foreign interference and to push a pro-India narrative. Again, these are the two main allegations that are being made about this. So the commission has heard testimony about allegations of Government of India interference in a Conservative Party leadership race. So that is what the report is saying at this point in time. And again, what has also been saying, but it also points out that while this piece of evidence exists, they're also saying that not all of India's activities in this matter were covert. So we're not exactly sure what specific role India may have played in the Conservative Party leadership election, but they're saying not all of this was covert. It is not hidden. Many of these were matters of public record. So they're also saying, of course, that beyond India influencing the domestic politics of Canada by backing particular candidates that it sees as pro-India, by interfering in leadership elections, it's also saying that there is disinformation. They're also saying that India is now being assessed as an emergent cyber threat actor by the Canadian intelligence community. So that's another set of threats that Canada says it's facing from India. They're also saying, of course, as has been part of Canada's narrative on this particular issue, which is that India is using its diplomatic and political and economic influence to target members of the diaspora Sikh community, especially those that support the Khalistan movement, and saying that, of course, there are connections to elements of the government of India in terms of countering, using force, violence, extortion, etc. against these particular groups, as was the case in the Hardeep Singh Nijjar inquiry. So those are the four particular sets of allegations that Canada is making in this foreign interference inquiry, that India is actually interfering in Canadian politics by providing financial support or helping particular candidates in leadership elections that they regard as pro-India. Again, it makes clear that many of these candidates may not have been aware that they were receiving support from India, but this is they're saying that that the Commission has seen evidence to this in this regard. So that is one bucket of allegations, that India is interfering politically. They're saying that India is supporting candidates it prefers. So that's one bucket of support. Second bucket of support is second bucket of activities is disinformation. The third bucket of activities is cyber threats in Canada, which is being assessed as a threat by Canadian intelligence officials. And of course, the fourth being targeting people within the Sikh community that support the Khalistan movement. Those are the four main objectives and four main activities that, according to this Canadian foreign interference report, that India is carrying out on its soil. It also says that Pakistan is also involved in foreign interference, saying that Pakistan is really interested in curtailing India's influence in this in Canada. So Pakistan is also involved in political interference. Beyond India and Pakistan, it also points towards China and also points towards Russia as countries that are engaging in political interference. So that is what the report says. It has been a much awaited report within Canadian politics, given how key the India-Canada spat over Hardeep Singh Nijjar and Khalistani extremism has been over the last couple of years, but also the domestic hits that the Liberal government, especially led by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, has taken over the last couple of years after allegations surfaced that China and those associated with perhaps elements of the Chinese government were being able to influence Canadian politics by supporting particular candidates. So that's how it started, and it snowballed also to include a number of other countries. Now, India, just to be very clear, none of the evidence as such has been provided in this report. This is a report that has been put together by a commission that has listened to testimonies from members of diaspora communities, by members of the intelligence community, the government. The Prime Minister of Canada himself, Justin Trudeau, testified in front of this Foreign Interference Commission, but there is no evidence on paper as such saying that, we have this evidence linking India to this activity. This is coming from the Canadian government. So that is what we have right now. India, of course, has strongly rejected all of these allegations, saying that Canada is interfering in our domestic politics. It has been making statements in the past. For example, Justin Trudeau making statements about the farmers' protests in India several years ago. Jagmeet Singh of the New Democratic Party, the NDP, which has been supporting Justin Trudeau's government, or supported in the past Justin Trudeau's government and helped it stay in power, Jagmeet Singh, the leader of that party, the NDP, has also come out and in the past, Jagmeet Singh has come out and made statements about India taking particular security steps in parts of Punjab to persecute or in his view, persecute certain groups that are associated with radicalism. You might recall the case of Amritpal Singh. India, of course, went after Amritpal Singh in about March of 2023, if my memory serves me correctly, and of course then arrested Amritpal Singh. They saw him as a radical preacher, arrested him on charges of using violence, and then they were and also had to place in certain restrictions to internet and so on and so forth to carry out this manhunt. And in response to that, Jagmeet Singh of the NDP came out and made a statement, which was again something that India was none too pleased about. So that is what the Indian government is saying when they're saying that actually Canada is the one interfering in our domestic politics. We repeatedly have these statements coming in about how India should handle situations regarding Punjab, and what the Canadian government is playing is essentially vote bank politics. They're playing around with this idea of trying to keep domestic groups in Canada happy about the fact that they're putting pressure on the Indian government when it comes to the issue of Khalistan, when it comes to the issue of Punjab, when it comes to the issue of human rights in Punjab. So that is where we are at this point in time. And again, showing that the India-Canada relationship is really not in a fantastic position at this point in time. It has been very clear really for the last almost 1.5, 2 years that the relationship has seen significant tension, significant trouble. Things have not improved despite the fact that that it seems now that a new government, Justin Trudeau is stepping down as Prime Minister. A new Liberal government is going to take over, and then we're likely going to see a general election where the Liberal government is likely to lose, the Liberal Party is likely to lose, and a new government led by the Conservative Party, at this point, that's what the polls are indicating, will come in. Now, the fact that there is so much tension in the India-Canada relationship shows that it will likely be some time before any government, whether it's Liberal or Conservative, will be able to put the relationship with India back together. We know that the leader of the Conservative Party, Pierre Poilievre, has said very, very clearly in the past that he disagrees with how Justin Trudeau has handled the relationship with India. He said that, look, we need to be professional with India. It's a very large democracy. It's a very large economy. We need to work closely with India. We must be professional about these things, including intelligence matters. Now, what has happened is that because of this, there has been some hope in India that, in fact, Pierre Poilievre will be someone who will be easier to work with and could work with India to restore the India-Canada relationship. That may indeed be the case, but it will have to be the result of careful diplomatic work over a substantial period of time, precisely because there have been so many allegations that have been made in the last 18 months about India's interference in Canadian politics, about the Hardeep Nijjar case and other cases like it, that unpacking all of that and putting the relationship back on a solid footing is going to be extremely difficult, because it's a lot of trust that will have to be, a lot of mistrust that will have to be eased. A lot of trust will have to be built back up again. India will need to see some of its concerns addressed. Canada will want some of its concerns addressed. Remember that one of the things that Justin Trudeau has done is make his allegations about India so publicly that India actually that it will be very difficult for the Canadian government to walk this back entirely and say, actually, the previous Prime Minister and the intelligence communities are totally wrong about their assessment of particular issues. This is going to be a live issue over time. They may choose to diminish its importance somewhat, focus on other parts of the relationship as well, but that is going to make it extremely difficult, even in the eyes of the Canadian public that has essentially for the last 18 months been told that India is interfering in its domestic politics. So at this point in time, prospects of the India-Canada relationship appear gloomy still. There is, of course, some hope that the India-Canada relationship will recover, will improve. But at this point in time, with the release of this new foreign interference report and India's strong statement condemning and pushing back against the allegations made in this report, it does not seem that, at least for the next couple of months, that the India-Canada relationship is going to be turning a corner. Now, we will keep you absolutely updated on this story and other stories like it on the India-Canada relationship. Please do keep watching India Today Global.